Okay, hello, fifth period biology. Today we are going to be finishing up the notes on metabolism or energy, and we are going to talk about cellular respiration and photosynthesis. Okay, so you guys are going to be super lucky because I am tied to 15 minutes, so I'm going to have to go fast. As you listen to this video, I need you to make sure that you are taking notes. So because there is no interaction, I can't, I might seem like I'm going pretty fast. So you may want to stop the video along the way so you can make sure that you get the information written down. This information will be on the test that is tomorrow. I will be back in class tomorrow. Also, as a note, if you were absent on Friday, you need to make sure that you turn in your Jello lab that was due. Make sure that you get that in before today so that you can get full credit for it. Okay, so with that, let's talk about the burning sugar activity that we did on Friday. And just review that real quick. We took a test tube and we turned it upside down and we put it over a container of sugar. And we noted that inside the test tube, it was clear and dry. So there was just air in there. And inside the bowl, we had normal sugar, which was white and grainy and dry. And I have the formula here for sugar, okay, is C6H12O6. That is glucose. All right. And then after we burned, we set the fire underneath, okay, the sugar. And as it heated the sugar up, the sugar started to get wet, even though we didn't add water to it. And it started to turn brown and bubbly and eventually got really, really dry. So afterwards, we tested the test tube. We noticed that the test tube became wet inside, even though we didn't add water to it. And the bromothymol blue that we put in there went from a really pretty blue color to a yellow color. And we talked about how bromothymol blue is an indicator for carbon dioxide. So it shows us that carbon dioxide was present in large quantities inside that test tube. Okay, so what does that all mean? All right, so there we go. Let's get this out of the way. Okay, so we're going to try and come back to that in a little bit. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, we have a couple different things going on here. We are simulating a process that is referred to as cellular respiration. Okay, which is how your cells or cells of animals and other consumers make ATP. Okay, and remember, ATP is our energy molecule. All right, so what we see is that we have, oh, I can't do that. Sorry. All right, what we see is that we started, our starting materials was glucose, C6H12O6, and this is glucose. Now, glucose is the only, okay, molecule that our cells or consumer cells can use to produce this ATP energy. All right, and so we take this glucose and we did apply some heat to it, and the only way to get that heat, at least in the lab situation, was to provide oxygen to it. So we also had some oxygen, and we put some heat into this so that we could get this reaction to go. All right, so as we go through and we take a look at the after effects, we see the after effects in the test tube. And so what we notice here is that we notice that water and carbon dioxide were produced. So there's carbon dioxide is produced along with water. 2, oh, okay. And in cells, we are able to take those reactions of breaking down sugar and create a special molecule called ATP, which is our energy molecule that we use to move and groove. Okay, so this is really what cellular respiration is all about, okay? And just be thankful that the only thing that we need to know, at least for this class, is that there's an arrow here. There's a whole lot of stuff that takes place in there. Okay, so we're going to go through here and talk about where all this stuff comes from. If we take a look at glucose, we get glucose into our body by eating it. That's why we are considered to be what are called consumers. Okay, we have to consume, we have to eat other things in order to get energy into us. Okay, so we consume this sugar. Okay, how do we get oxygen into us? We breathe it in. All right, so this is all of the input section. We eat the sugar, we breathe in oxygen so that our cells can process that stuff, those molecules, and produce the energy that we need. However, as with anything, when you're doing work, you produce waste products, okay? And so here is our end, or I guess not everything is a waste product, so I won't write that. But so this is our end products right here. And so what we end up with here is we have carbon dioxide and we have oxygen. And what do we do with both of these is we actually breathe them out. Okay, we exhale both of them. Okay, if you didn't realize that we breathe out water, okay, one thing that you can do is go over to a window, or on your way home, you can take, and when you breathe out onto your window, you will notice that the condensation comes out and goes straight onto that window. And we like to make little funny faces and write things on our windows, and our parents get mad at us. So, all right, so those are our waste products here. Really what we're after is the ATP, which is our energy, okay? And we can use this ATP to do basically every single thing in the body. We build molecules with it. We cause the muscles to contract so that we move. It causes the muscles in the heart to contract so that you stay alive, and all of those things. Okay, so a couple of things here. Why? The question is, so we have this heat that comes in, and if you think about the amount of heat that we had to apply in order to get this sugar to burn over here, that is really not realistic in terms of you functioning, okay? We learned that in the body, that if you put too much heat, or if you put too much heat onto the enzymes like the pineapple enzymes are going to denature and they're no longer going to work. And that's the same thing with you. If you apply too much heat or too much if you apply too much heat to make the sugar break down, the enzymes that are necessary inside your body are going to denature and no longer work. So what we need to do is find a way to break the sugar apart and be able to break it apart in a way that does not require all of this heat. And the way that we do that is that we use enzymes. Okay, and so what enzymes do, again, is that they break down substrates. But there's a little more to it. Substrates, okay? But there's a little more to it. They break them down by lowering the amount of energy needed, okay? By lowering the energy needed to break the bonds. To break bonds. Okay, so the enzymes are going to go in and they're going to take that sugar and they're going to pull and they're going to twist it so that we only have to provide a little bit of heat in order to cause that molecule just to break apart. And when that molecule breaks apart, we are breaking those bonds. And when the bonds come out, that's energy being released that we can then put into ATP. Okay, all right. So this is cellular respiration, and this is how all consumers, okay, whether you are a fungus or whether you are a cow or whether you are a human, this is how all of us make energy that we can then use to do cellular reactions. Okay, I think I'm going to end up cutting this. Pretend the U is staying there. Okay. So now, let me get rid of this. Oops, wrong one. Okay. So cellular respiration, right? Making energy. Now, we talked about the different laws of thermodynamics, okay? And one of the things that we saw, let's do laws of thermodynamics. Okay, and there are two of them. One of them is that energy is not created or destroyed. Not created or, that's not an R, or destroyed. Okay, it changes form. And we talked a little bit about this in class the other day. I will review that in a minute. The second thing that we see in the law of thermodynamics is something that is called entropy. Okay, and what entropy does is it talks about how every time energy changes form, some of the overall energy is lost. And it is lost to space as heat. Okay, so what does that mean? Okay, well, let's go back to our drawing the other day. Put that up there. All right. Let's go back to the drawing the other day that we had where we talked about these energy transformations. We know that energy is going to come from the sun. Okay, that is our initial energy right there. And the sun is going to come down in the form of solar energy. Okay, so this is solar energy. And this solar energy is used by plants to do photosynthesis. Okay, and so what photosynthesis is going to do is photosynthesis is going to go in and it's going to take carbon dioxide from the air and it's going to take water from the roots and it's going to put them together to form C6H12O6. Okay, now let me write this out. So we are going to take carbon dioxide and we are going to take water and we are going to take solar energy. I'm just going to write energy and I'm going to use that to produce C6H12O6 and plants breathe out oxygen. What does that look like? Well, if we take a look at this arrow, okay, this is showing us that the direction that the energy or the equation is going to go. If we take a look at this, it matches up almost perfectly with our cellular respiration formula, where we have carbon dioxide and water on the starting side of things, and on cellular respiration, we have carbon dioxide and water on the ending. Energy, ATP. So this side of the equation right here, okay, matches the starting equation of photosynthesis. Okay, photosynthesis is used to make sugar and oxygen, okay, which sugar and oxygen are the starting materials for cellular respiration. So these two formulas go hand in hand. Okay, I'm going to erase this here. Okay, so we're going to go through and we're going to take a look. One of the things that we know is that standardized tests love this formula for whatever reason. And so it's important for you to make sure that you understand how to read it at least, okay? So one of the things that I always say is that you make sure that you see which direction these arrows are pointing, okay? And you look at the front end. So